Hey, Petty fans. Welcome to episode 6 of the Richard Petty Motorsports Podcast, presented by Petty's Garage.
Going to go ahead and say, as the producer of the show, there's a little bit of an echo. We are in a new location today, very cool location, surrounded by some very important race-winning cars.
Cool street cars, too.
Really cool street cars. Where are we at, Bradley?
Got a couple Corvettes here, and if that doesn't give you any indication, we're at Erik's shop in Huntersville, which was awesome. Thank you, Erik and team, for letting us use the space.
Yep.
And I guess that also kind of tells you who the guest is going to be this week.
Yeah, but this one's is a two-guest episode, first two-guest episode. We have Erik Jones and
Rick Carelli, spotter for the number 43. So also pretty impressive driving career on his resume as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Daytona 500, how that went for us, and what we've got going in the future.
We also got a lot of really fun stories on this one. We had a blast, laughed a lot, and I really think everybody listening is going to enjoy it. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Really excited to get this podcast rolling. Excited to be 6 episodes in, and here's Erik and Rick. Hope you enjoy.
I'm starting here. Rick Carelli, Denver, Colorado, spotter for number 43, Erik Jones.
I'm Erik Jones from Byron, Michigan, and I am the driver of the 43.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. This is pretty exciting because I feel like we got some 2 heavy hitters here.
I am tickled pink.
Yeah.
Heavy hitters. Didn't you have Inman on, though, already?
We did, yeah. And Philippe, so.
Yeah, Philippe.
Carelli
knows Philippe.
Right?
Carelli knows Philippe really well.
Yeah. How do you know Philippe really well?
Heck, man. Back in the day, he used to be a crew chief in, I think, Stanley Smith years ago. So I used to always bust on him years ago. For many, many, many years, I've been busting on him.
Were y'all competing?
Yeah, we were all competing. Mm-hmm. We were there. He had probably Interstate Batteries, number 92, I believe, with a Ruggles V6 in it. He was a little ahead of the program, everybody else, but we always held our own and probably put it to him all the time. But I always gave Philippe a bunch of crap because Philippe always walked around like he's a little cocky all the time.
Is it still like that?
It's pretty much a standard deal. I mean, the first thing I seen him the other day, we were walking to the airplane after our unfortunate end of the day, and he blamed it all on me. He says, Carelli, it's 100% your fault because you just kept pushing him, whipping him like a dog, telling him to go forward. I said, yeah, that's right, man. Can't have somebody to blame. I got big shoulders. Blame me.
So just for the listeners or viewers that don't know what you're talking about as far as Sunday.
What happened on Sunday?
We were going to wait, but might as well get right into it. What happened?
Well, basically there was a race going on, obviously, but unfortunately we only got to run 14 laps because some people thought the checker flag was lap 15 as we got around, and they started pushing a little early. And I think we had a good car. We started in the back. Unfortunately, we had a misfortune with the motor and started back there. And I think Erik just wanted to feel his stuff out, put himself on the outside, put himself on the inside. Logano put him in the middle. He got juked around a couple times, and to be honest with you, we were just riding, and I had a feeling after being with him for some years, he was just getting ready to get out of it. And I was telling him up front that the 20 was pushing the 10 pretty hard, and everybody's kind of stacked up. And the next thing you know, getting into 3, history always repeats itself. Anybody pushes anybody into 3 usually causes a big mess, and unfortunately, 17 of us, they got shortened up pretty quick. So
yeah.
Well, you don't usually expect them to wreck on lap 14.
Erik, could you see that developing when it was happening, or did it kind of catch you by surprise?
Yeah, what could you see from back there?
Well, I know Carelli was right. I was getting to the point where I was ready to bail out because, we had cycled we started dead last and we were all the way up. We drove up to 8th and we had actually kind of singled out on the bottom, and I thought, well, I'll just ride here and I was comfortable there. And then we doubled back up and guys were starting to get 3 wide again, and within the next lap or 2, I was probably going to bail out on the backstretch and get to the back just because they were starting to get pretty wild, and sure enough, they managed to wreck on that lap. So I couldn't see it, from where I was. I couldn't see it start, but we were pretty close to making it through. I think somebody pushed the 1 down the track into us, and that knocked us in the dirt and knocked us up the track, and then we got hit, knocked the radiator out of it, and that was it.
How much did the state of the ground there after all the rain affect when you hit it? Because it looked like when you got down on the grass there, it's like, well, this isn't good, but might get out of it, and then
boom,
everybody hit the grass and just went all different directions. Like, oh yeah, it's mud.
I thought, at first when we started going through the grass, well, the second when we were going to go through the grass, I thought we were going to rip the splitter right off it, and we did. And I was just watching the dirt bail over the hood, and we were going straight, and I thought, well, okay, we'll get out of the dirt, get back on the track, and keep going. Really, we didn't have any damage, and then the second we got back on the track, I honestly, before I saw the replay, I thought I had gotten hit in the right rear when I came back on the track, because it took off so fast to the right. But it was just the tires and so dirty and so much dirt on the track from the wreck. It launched it.
Yeah, well, I don't want to spend too much time on that topic. I know is this the first time y'all seen each other since then?
Other than the plane ride, but Carelli wasn't very talkative.
Oh.
Yeah. I get pretty upset after it. I still get fired up over it all. And I just look at it as, so darn early. You got 200 laps of race, and here we are, half the field's tore up for no reason. So it takes me a while to get rid of it. So when we race next week here, this coming week at the road course, I'll get rid of it. That taste gets out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for this road course because we were watching the Clash, and somebody knows how to drive on the road.
I like the road courses. It's kind of funny. I think back in my NASCAR career, and I'd never driven a road course until 2014, I think, in the Truck Series. And I hopped on, and we ran I don't even remember where we ran that year, but I think it was third or fourth. And I'm like, man, I got this road course stuff down. And then the next year,
Is that what you thought, Rick?
Rick wasn't even with me then. I think I've told Rick this story. And then the next year we went back, Truck Series, second road course race, and we won. And I'm like, I've got to figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
I'm the road course guy. And then the next year we went Xfinity racing, and, we did okay. Obviously not as good as what the truck was. We didn't win, but we ran top 10, top 5. And then we went to the Cup Series, and we went to Sonoma. And I wrecked one in practice right off the bat. That was like first practice, I think. And so we went to a backup car, started last, and we didn't run much farther up than last. I think we finished 32nd.
Yeah, we
25th. I don't know. It was way in the back.
we had our own race going on.
We had one. Yeah, we were racing. We were racing Boris Said, and not the equipment we were in. And nothing against Boris Said. He's a great road course racer, but he was in far less equipment. So I had to do a lot of work.
Yeah,
I went to a lot of. I did many road course schools and a lot of studying, a lot of film, and now I really enjoy them now. But it took a long time to get there.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so do you think it was a difference in vehicle you were driving, since you did well in trucks and pretty well in Xfinity, or
competition? It just ramps up every time, and the competition and the level of quality of vehicles and teams, and the tracks. Mosport, where the trucks run, it's a really high grip, really fast place. It's not very technical looking back at it. And then you go to Sonoma, and it's Sonoma. Rick's ran Sonoma. It's super technical, super slick. It's really challenging, and it's a totally different mentality. And plus, you've got, when we went to the road course in the trucks, a lot of that guys in that field had never ran. They were the same boat as me. They'd never ran road courses. But you go to the Cup Series, those guys have been running Sonoma and Watkins Glen for, a lot of them 10, 15 years. So
it helps a lot just knowing the course to begin with.
Yeah, the biggest thing, you run Watkins Glen, it's pretty natural flow, and it's pretty easy to drive it, to be honest with you. But when you get to hit the nail on the head, you get to Sonoma, it's so much more technical. The elevation change, the up and down, getting turn 11, getting to 10, to get to 211, the wheel hopping, getting up and off the corner straight. It's a very technical racetrack, which you'll either leave there loving it or you'll leave there hating it. But when you come back to it, you always want to try and conquer it and do better. That's one thing I can say. As the years we have gone back, he has gotten a lot better from the first time we've gone there.
So, spoken like a racer, from what I hear, you used to drive yourself.
I drove for many years, basically, many years. So,
give us a little history on that.
Well, I started off driving late models at home, basically in Colorado, and then I've graduated in modifieds. I drove straight up modifieds, offset modifieds. I raced many years at a local track called Lakeside Speedway, which is no longer in existence. It was a 5th mile racetrack. And then I started doing it professionally in 1989. I had a gentleman that had a Chevy store that wanted to get involved, and somebody mentioned my name, said he did a really good job, but he was a hothead, so you had to figure out how to chill him out, and if you could chill him out, everything will work. So he purchased the racetrack up in Colorado, and we went there, and we had a great success at it and had a good run at it, and won many races there, then won the Southwest Tour Championship, backed it up with a second, and some Winston West races. Tried Cup in '94, got my lunch handed to me, realized, that I thought I was pretty good, but to realize it's all about the people and the equipment that you got around you, because my biggest downfall is I always figured that I had to touch everything myself, because if it screwed up, I screwed it up. But I realized that as you climb the ladder means the people around you, and you're only as good as the success of the people around you. So you got to focus on what you're doing and driving. So, I've been fortunate. I was the first one in the truck series when we ran the trucks, did that, and then tried to kill myself in '99. Got injured in Memphis real bad, and then I came back and won the first race back in Phoenix. I've always raced well there. I've had a lot of success, and came back and we won Richmond in 2000. Then after that, kind of filled in and helping, and then went on to run in Kevin Harvick's race shop in 2005 until he closed in existence, and got involved in spotting. And it was sort of a part of me that kept me involved in racing. It's just to the next level. I can't do what I used to do, but I can still be a part of somebody else's future. And it's something I really enjoy, and I still get fired up every week and still take it personal.
That's quite the career. That's a lot more than just a little bit of racing there, Chris.
Yeah.
So
I guess I opened it up way back when.
Yeah. How did the two of you first link up and become driver spotter, and what was your first race together?
Well, first race together, basically when I was spotting for Kurt Busch, and I knew Erik was moving on, and I've watched him in the Xfinity program, and I spotted for him a little bit there. And then I basically, when he moved up to Cup, I went and met the crew chief in Darlington and put my name in the hat, and I think Erik and myself met right over here, and we had lunch together, and I remember he came up, and next thing I did, and it's just a part of me is like a part of him, because I see a lot of him and what I did years ago, how he grew up, family orientated, how he raised, what he did, and a
lot you both can relate on, I assume.
I mean, I can, there's a lot of years difference, but I still flip back to what I had and what I've done and where he's been. So he's very talented, and I have a lot of fun with it.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it's not a man crush, man, but I'm just telling you, when you look at it and you do it, I mean, you can tell people they're talented when they're not talented. There's days he leaves that he's not very talented, but there's days that he leaves he's pretty darn talented. So, but you don't have to tell him that, because he's already beaten himself up about it.
Erik, what was your first impression of Rick and working with him?
Well, I listened to Rick a lot before I even met with him, so I already kind of knew going in what my option and what my choice was for spotters. And I had met with a few guys. Actually, Rick, I think, was the last guy we met with, just the way it worked out at the end of 2016 when we were trying to find a spotter. But I'd really already kind of made my choice, as long as when I met him, he wasn't like a lunatic or something. So we went to lunch and everything was really good. And I think, when my crew chief at the time, Chris Gale, when I walked out of there with him, talked to him on the side after lunch, we had already kind of made our decision there. So as long as Rick had wanted to come on, we were ready to move forward. And, I liked what I had heard on the radio. We can actually go listen back all the races. So I just listened to a bunch of different stuff: short track, road course, super speedway. And Rick was what I liked the best. And I also liked that, Rick was a racer. And I just like guys, especially that are going to be on the radio, that have raced before. A lot of times I tell people that Rick already kind of knows what's happening and what's developing before anything has to be said. A lot of times nothing even has to be said, and we already are on kind of the same page of what's going on during the race, and a lot of that is just from Rick being in the car himself.
You led me to my next question, which was, how helpful is it to have a former driver as your spotter? And Rick, how much do you factor that in? I'm assuming a lot, with everything that's going on. How much of an edge is that to know that you've been there yourself and have experienced it.
Well, I think the edge is the bond between each other. I mean, I can sit and talk and tell everything and see what I'm seeing and do whatever, but just however you take it in and dissect it. I can see what's going on in front, but I know what my butt felt years ago inside that car. I can know where he's at. I know the frustration level. I can tell the difference in the voice. I can paint the picture in front. Sometimes the car won't do what you want it to do, even though we're all trying to tell it what to do. So that's where I think the biggest thing a lot of people got to understand, you have to adjust a race car to the driver. We're all on the sim thing and everything else, which does a great job. But at the end of the day, you still have to adjust what your butt's telling you to do. Because if you're not feeling comfortable, that right foot's not going down or the hand's not turning. So you can trick yourself all you want, but there's still that factor of it that makes it. But to me, I paint a picture. Like I'm telling you, like I said earlier, I still believe I'm still racing, but I'm not racing. But I'm racing through Erik's eyes, and I get an opportunity to do one of the best things I get to do every weekend is still go to the racetrack and be a part of this. So that's one thing I really enjoy.
Kind of like a chess master.
Well, call it chess master, call it whatever, but I think once you get into this sport, if you're all in, you're all in. And when you're not all in, it shows that you're not all in, and you can play it as surface as you want, and you can play it as, hey, yeah, I'm it, I can do this, but you can tell the people that leave it, that when they leave at the end of the day at the races, they're running to get on the elevator. The other day, I'm beating the damn thing and hitting my radios and upset because we're not racing. And we've waited for this whole time to build up this new deal, have the new car, have a great opportunity, and all of a sudden it's short. Yeah. So, I mean, it's aggravating.
Yeah. I know it's no consolation, but I will say that looking at all of the comments and feedback we get online, it was definitely very evident that everybody was watching us march to the front and make it to the top 10 very quickly and be competitive and just get in a tough spot and have to suffer the wrath of Daytona. But
well, I mean,
yeah, that's for sure. I kind of enjoy super speedway racing. Yeah, I do. It's totally different, right? But the unfortunate part about it is it's not always up to you at the end of the day. And I feel like the thing with me that's frustrating is I feel like we always do a good job of getting to the front when we need to, right? At the end of the races, even if we're farther back. And I just kind of wanted at that point to test and make sure everything was feeling good and driving good. And it was almost like a systems check real quick at the start of the race, make sure we were lined up and everything was how we wanted, and then it was kind of already over. So
yeah, that's what I mean, we were sitting there watching it, and he's over there tweeting up a storm, and I was like, all right, he's you could see when you flipped the switch and you were like, all right, we're back here, let's feel this out. Like you said, high line, low line, moving the car around, figuring out how it works, and you got up there and you could tell. It's funny that coming from you guys, because we haven't talked at all since before this podcast about how you were just about to fall back, and I told him right before the wreck happened, I was like, all right, he's about to drop back. He figured out how to drive the car. Now he's going to go relax, and then I'm not even going to get into that.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I will say, as a viewer, fan, team member, whatever, it is very nice to just see, like, okay, good, we've got options, getting to put it pretty much where we want it. It's like I said, it's no consolation, but I feel like I always try and find some positive coming out of every weekend, as hard as it might be. Let's say, hypothetically, if your roles were reversed, he's driving your spot, how do you think that would go?
I've only spotted I spotted 2 races when I was younger on an oval for a guy named Scott Hance, and I spotted one NASCAR race. I was the 3rd spotter at a road course. So I said like 10 words the whole time. Mm-hmm. So I think Rick's got more experience than if roles were reversed. I don't know. I think I'm an okay spotter, though.
I think he'd probably do good. I mean, obviously, I'd probably be a lot hard-headed because I never used to listen to spotters when I had them, because when somebody said something to me, I was just wired different at times, But I'd have the trust, because obviously, he hasn't done it. I have done it. If the roles were reversed, I've raced, he's raced, I'd feel comfortable letting him happen.
Yeah, I think we could do it. Yeah, no consolation, but the guy I did spot for said I was the best spotter he ever had.
Wow.
There's the first one.
To be honest, I think the only other people that spotted for him were his crew members. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's all right. That detail's not important.
I'm honestly,
the comment still stands.
I think you're right. I think he just turned his radio off most of the time. I think he just.
Rick, you mentioned earlier you were kind of a hothead back in your early driving days. Is there anything in particular that backs up that claim you could think of?
Of being a hothead?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my local track, if I ever got any more fights or whatever, I was going to be suspended
That's
indefinitely.
what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I didn't hesitate. If somebody touched me, I made sure I had the last whatever it needed to be. And I didn't walk away from nothing. I walked right into the middle of it. I told people what I thought. They told me what I thought. You know, you agree to disagree. But, you know, I think it's just a different era of people driving and what they did, you know. I respected everything that I had, and I respected everybody else's what they had. To me, it takes no talent to wreck anybody. It takes talent to race somebody. I mean, you can drive in there at 90 miles an hour over your head and run into somebody and say, oh, well, you're out of control as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're out of control, I'm going to make sure you're out of control when you get in the pits.
I think that's regional, too. I think seems like I thought the South, guys always raced in the South were always really rough.
Right.
Nothing against them. I mean, there's a lot of great racers from the South. But growing up in Michigan, raced a lot at Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, Wisconsin, a lot of Midwest, and I'm sure it was kind of the same where Rick was from. Guys were really clean. Contact was really
minimal.
Yeah, very minimal and really looked down upon. If you knocked somebody out of the way to gain a position, you know, even a clean moving somebody out of the way, it was really frowned upon. So just, I think, a very different mentality. But I've seen the Midwest changing too with some of the young guys coming in, causing some serious trouble. So I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to test what Erik talked about. Years ago, I used to go run ARCO and ASA, and I was very fortunate that I got to go do it and race with, you know, everybody was a champion when we did there. I went to a certain racetrack in Wisconsin. I think there was Dick Trickle and Refner and all these guys come up to you and they said, let me explain something to you. You're more than welcome to race here all you want, race us as hard as you want, and just explain anything we have on these trucks is yours. But just remember, if you think you're going to come in here and move one of us, there's a whole bunch more of us that make sure you won't be able to come back and play with us. So we welcome you, come race. And I tell you what, it's the best lesson I ever learned. I mean, I wasn't a guy that went in and run into anybody because I drove a lot of open wheels. So if you drive open wheels, you run into them, you take a nice fly, you know, so you learn how to race close and race. But I tell you what, those guys raced your tail off. At the end of the day, you'd watch the sun come up drinking beer, and the next day you go on to the next race. So there was enough of them.
Wow. Do you see any of that regional influence in the drivers that you compete against today? Or do you think once you hit the NASCAR ranks and you've gone through the trucks and Xfinity and you're going for cup wins every week that it's out the door and everybody's willing to use the bumper when necessary or when out, I guess?
I'll let Erik answer that question.
I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, I think it's different for every guy. I'm trying to think of where a lot of the guys were from that I race now. And I think there's a lot of – the Cup Series has changed a lot even since I've been in it. So I came in 2017. And we had the low downforce package, high horsepower, and a race that every week. And there was, honestly, the racing then was a lot how I grew up racing late models. It was very respectful. It was the guy behind you's faster. If you don't let them go in a couple laps, they're going to pack air on the back of you, and you're going to slide up the racetrack anyways. When they went to the package that we run now, the high downforce package, I would say racing changed quite a bit, and I think Rick would agree with that, to where it became a very different style of racing, very block heavy, a lot rougher. It's a lot harder to pass. So racing changed a lot. I don't know if that regional influence matters as much at that level because, honestly, if you say 25 of those guys, the 25 of those guys in the Cup Series, at some point in their career, they were the best at whatever they were doing, right? Whether it be late models, trucks, Xfinity, at some point they were dominating that series. So I don't think you see as much as the regional driving style there, but I would say the package is very relevant to how the racing style is. Gotcha. That makes sense. Let's see. The car that's right behind you there, Erik, that's your Daytona winning car from
18. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
Recount that day from kind of each of your perspective, maybe just like the last few laps of that race. You know, what was it like? What was going through your head, and how did Rick help get you to that checker flag?
Yeah, we weren't. We were actually pretty quick that day. We were up front a lot of it, and then we got the right rear knocked out off it. I don't know, about halfway maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to come in and fix a bunch of damage, and it had blown a lot of the braces out of the back of the car, so it was really hard to patch the right rear up. And I think we were like within 10 or 8 seconds of going over the DVP.
Going over, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Losing our deal.
And fortunately, we had got it fixed and got minimum speed and reset it. But we went a lap down during all that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we rode around a lap down forever. It was like 60 laps we were lap down. Because the race went green. They had a huge
Forever,
wreck.
yeah.
And then the race just went green. A lot like last weekend, just went green, green, green.
So you're thinking this is just going to be a grinded out, stay patient type of
Yeah, I
day.
mean, we were lap down probably, I don't know, 20th, whatever the first car on the lap down was. And we had a caution with 10 to go maybe. It was late in the race. And we got the lucky dog. Started at the back. They had another wreck. And so we cycled up to being the last lead lap guy, and then they had another wreck. And then we had cycled up to being outside front row on the last restart, the green, white, checkered. And we took off and got a huge push from, I think it was Boucher, and he was in the 37 at the time.
Right.
And pushed us out front. And from there, it was pretty easy. I mean, they all once we got pushed out front, they really kind of single filed out and got really, really spread out.
I think we got pushed out past the 19
Truex,
and Truex was there on the bottom, you know. I was waiting for him to move. He didn't move up. We kept going. We got a big run. I kept just telling Erik, don't get too far out, don't get too far out. And, you know, once we got through the middle of 3 and 4, we had enough run that nobody was going to come get us. So it was you can count it, but you never count it till you get to that checker flag. You know,
Right.
that's the whole thing. You know, I've learned that. I've lost way too many races. You know, everybody's saying, yeah, you got it. Next thing you know, something falls out of the sky and hits you or something.
Or somebody knocks you out of the way.
Yeah. It's just, you know, you're on everybody else's deal when you get there, and you got to have a lot of luck, but you got to put yourself in a position to win it at the end. And that's, you know, how it all works out.
So when you're coming to a green, white, checkered, Erik, Daytona, you know, 200 miles an hour, front row, butterflies, or are you laser focused? Are you in the zone, or because I've never been in that situation. Most people haven't.
No, it's funny. I don't know if every driver's like this, but anytime I've ever been in a situation where it's higher pressure, I guess, I always have just gone on autopilot. You know, it's like you don't even
Think.
Yeah, you don't, like when I think back, I honestly really can't even picture or remember the last 2 or 3 laps of that race, or even thinking to, like, especially even more so, like I think to Darlington when we won the Southern 500, Kyle was behind us for
Forever.
60 laps.
60 laps, gouging, poking, boom.
I can't really even think like the last 60 laps of that race. I can't remember that because it's just, you're just doing. You're not thinking. You're not planning your next move. You're just doing. You're just going with the flow, what the car wants, where it wants to go, where he's going, what he's doing behind you. You're just going with that, and you're having to keep up with the momentum and the flow of the race. And I've been like that since I was a little kid, and I'm sure Rick probably had the same thing when he was racing. You're just doing what you
really
know.
don't realize when you got there till it's over with, because you're so in tune. I mean, I'm probably talking, he's not really hearing, vice versa, but you just get in a focus, you know, and everything goes quiet, and you know, it's kind of your space. And when it's your space, everything happens, because if you overthink it, you're going to think wrong, you know. Gotcha. So you're going to have to react. So what your eyes tell you and what you're seeing is what's happening. That's just my belief.
That's a great question, Chris. I think now would be a good time to take a quick break, hear from our presenting partner, Petty's Garage, and we'll regroup. All right, today, the Richard Petty Motorsports Podcast is again presented by Petty's Garage.
Petty's Garage is from the mind of Richard Petty himself. Petty's Garage is a haven for any fan of speed.
That's right. Petty's Garage is a full-service speed shop dedicated to continuing the legacy and reputation of the King.
The experts at Petty's Garage provide exceptional engines, tuning, and high-performance parts for you, the enthusiast.
Famous for the high-quality service and craftsmanship, Petty's Garage embodies Richard Petty's passion for being the best.
The best. Whether you're adding on to a current project, upgrading your ride completely, or just need our tuning department to squeeze out that last little bit of power from your engine, you can trust Petty's Garage to give your car performance that the king would be proud of.
That's right, Petty's Garage has you covered, so visit them online right now at pettys-garage.com. We're sitting here in Erik's shop. We've got some cool cars sitting around us. We've got his 69 Corvette. We've got the new ZR1. We've got an old late model with Paragon Corvette reproductions on it.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the Paragon.
Yeah, what's that all about, Erik?
Yeah, when I was
Sorry, he's got it. For anybody wondering, if you're listening to this and you're not watching, which you can watch us on YouTube, he's eating some Michigummies right now.
Michigummies.
So,
Yeah, they're really good. Have you ever had those?
Never have.
Yeah, you can try one because I'm about to talk for like 10 minutes.
He's going to get wound up.
Yeah.
No, Paragon. So when I was a kid, my dad and a partner bought into Paragon. Well, they bought Paragon when I was probably 5 years old. I think it was 2001. So we got into that business, and that was right about before the time we started racing. And Paragon was a Corvette reproduction company up in Michigan. They're still around, still sell parts. But I worked there a lot of years. They specialized in 53 to 82 Corvettes, and it was great. I mean, growing up as a kid, that was pretty cool for me, right? Like Corvettes. I mean, especially as a kid, I was all about it, and still obviously am into Corvettes. But that was what we did, and I worked there from the time I'd go in there when I probably 9 years old is when I started picking parts. You know, you go through and fill orders and do all that. And then when I was 12 years old, I was finally old enough to be on the payroll legally, so I got my own punch card, and I could punch in and out each day. And I did that until I moved down here when I was 16. And the big driving force behind that was that my dad told me unless I wanted to drive whatever he bought me, which was not going to be nice for a first car, I had to buy it. So that was what got me working. And it was pretty easy to convince me because I was a big car guy even at that age, so I wanted something cool when I was 16.
Yeah. So
hold on. What was the car at 16?
My car?
Yeah, what was your first car at 16?
I bought it's funny, I was working at Paragon, and we were going to lunch, and my dad and I always went to lunch together. So we hopped in the car, we took off, and we were driving to go get Blimpies subs. You ever had Blimpies?
no, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. So we were going to Blimpies, and I remember this very well. We were talking about stuff you don't remember in the race car. I remember this vividly. Looked out the right side window, and there's this 95 Trans Am sitting there. I said, we gotta pull over to look at this. And this is 2010, 11. Pulled over, looked at it, and the only thing I was praying when I walked up, I said, I hope this is not an automatic. I did not want an automatic for my first car. And I walked up, 6-speed, black, had the T-tops, black on black, and I was like, man, you know, so I took the guy's number down and went back to work, snuck off at work, called the guy and said, hey man, are you available later today? We can come by and look at this thing. He said, sure, come on by. Get off work and drove over there. I had my permit, so I was like barely 15 maybe. Mm-hmm. And went to the bank, withdrew about every cent I had, and my dad said, all right, I think he wanted $6,000 for the car. And so I put $5,000 in one pocket and $1,000 in the other. Mm-hmm. He said, you walk up, you offer him $5,000, you show him the cash. I said, all right. So I walked up, I said, I'll give you $5,000 right now, cash money. He said, sure, I'll take it. So I said, okay. And the other problem, I was 15 at the time, so I didn't have my license. And I said, well, okay, we bought it, signed the title. I said, well, how are we going to get home? And my dad's like, well, since this doesn't have a plate, I'll drive this, the car I just bought, and you hop in the truck and drive it home. Just follow me. I said, yeah, okay. I see how this deal's working out.
Yeah.
And so I followed him home. He turned on the first side street about 2 miles from the house and hammered it, did a big old nasty burnout. I said, yeah, okay.
Just thought I'd do it before you did it.
Yeah, I think he was just trying
to
to
break
beat
the
me.
car in. I like that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you love the Corvettes, obviously. You've got experience with that business. Have you had a chance to visit Petty's Garage?
I did. I went up to Level Cross October last year, right before we were about to get the deal done with RPM, and met with the King, and he took me through the museum, saw all that. Then we hopped over to Petty's garage and checked it all out. So it was really cool.
Yeah, they've got a lot of great projects going on there. Engines, tuning, parts, pretty much everything you can think of.
Yeah. One thing I love most about my job over there is whenever we have an engine on the dyno, or we've got a car on the dyno, and Dyno Jet has a brand new dyno for us, and just to hear a car wide open, man, it's like being at the racetrack. It's awesome.
Why don't you ask him to let you drive one on the dyno?
Because I don't know.
It's not hard.
No, you just put your foot down, right?
Yeah, I mean, you put her in whatever the top gear is and get to an RPM.
Yeah.
It's like 4,000 RPM usually. You just hammer it.
You'd probably start off and you'd make it buck on that dyno jet. You wouldn't get going. All of a sudden the straps are banging.
He'd tell you to
back
shut
and
it
forth.
off.
All right, man, you're done. You're done. Get out.
That would definitely be me.
We don't own this car.
Yeah, that's what they would have to tell me.
I don't want to replace the drivetrain. We just did.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, we're excited to have them on the car this weekend at the road course. We appreciate their support of this podcast. Definitely want to give them a good shout out.
Yeah, that
got to
car's
get
gonna,
Rick up there too.
Yeah, that car's going to look good going around the road course, especially as God, I'm as good as Erik runs on road courses.
Yeah,
knock on wood. But as long as something dumb doesn't happen,
we don't get crashed again.
Yeah, 2 laps into the race. But anywho.
Moving on.
Next question.
If both of you are in prime truck racing form, who takes home the checkered flag?
Oh, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
You're assuming just equal equipment, yeah?
Yes.
Same.
Let's put you
stuff.
both in top-notch trucks in your.
Put it this way, we're going to be rubbing to the end if I'm inside him or he's outside me. I'm sure it's going to be one of those deals. But,
what track are we going to?
Yeah.
Richmond.
Hold on.
Richmond.
No. Well, okay, Richmond. And then we'll go to the next question. Go ahead.
Richmond, I'm hit or miss at Richmond. I don't know how you were.
Richmond, there. I'm good.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
Rick.
good.
All right, so
he'd win there then.
If you
Richmond to me drives a lot like Phoenix. I've had a lot of success with Phoenix.
Yeah.
Richmond's one of those racetracks that invite you in turn one. If you can drive it the next week, but unfortunately you don't want to. And then 3 and 4, you want to get right down there on the bottom and drive it right straight up. But
Richmond may not have been the best one because Erik hasn't driven a truck there, right? Or have you?
I've never raced a truck.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see the trucks back at Richmond. I think that's awesome.
I think it's awesome. They get back to where they need to be instead of mile and a half.
Maybe Bristol would be a better one.
well, I was gonna ask. Bristol is a good one, so we can get to that. But then after Bristol, if you could choose any track in a truck against just one-on-one, which track would you choose? So
it doesn't have to be one they currently go to either.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be any track that you want in a truck.
I would pick Winchester. If I had to pick any track in the country that I think I'm the best at, it would be Winchester.
There you go. Never been to Winchester. Always wanted to go. I love to race Gateway. I thought Gateway was pretty much a finesse racetrack. Bristol is an awesome racetrack. I had a lot of success there when I did it there. Richmond, Phoenix, Kansas is a different track to race at. But to me, I believe the trucks race a lot better on half mile to 3/4 to a mile racetracks. I think the other place, you're kind of just riding there. Basically.
I'd do Gateway. I like Gateway.
Yeah, Gateway's fun. Gateway's a good one because you got corner 3 and 4 is pretty wide open. 1 and 2, you got to really be finesse to get it through it,
So what we're saying is that if we can get 2 trucks at Gateway, we can get a showdown between Rick Carelli and Erik Jones.
I hope our sales team
I
is
think
listening to this.
Rick Carelli will be spotting for Erik Jones.
Yeah, right.
I think my time is past in racing trucks. There's a lot of things I want to do. There's a lot of things I think I can do. But
I've already tried to coax Carelli into racing again, and it's been a solid no every time.
But no, I love racing, and I really want to race. But I know what I used to do versus what I can do. That's past me.
So if you got the call tomorrow to go race the SRX series for Tony Stewart, Ray Abraham,
Against all those other guys of age.
Well, they're about the same age as me, so hell, that
would
might
you take
be
that
something.
offer?
Hey, why not? We could all hit each other.
Oh, I know who I'm going to start working on.
I think it would be awesome.
I'm going to find out who's making the calls in the SRX deal. We're getting Rick Carelli in one.
I would love to.
Let's do it.
I still say I got really one good one left in me, you know?
One good race.
I think it would be cool to get, people always talk about wanting to see a Legends race, and I think we've kind of proven in the past why that's not the best idea.
I don't like Legends in iRacing, so I don't like Legends.
I'm not talking about Legends cars. I'm talking about NASCAR Legends. I
was talking about the car.
They did
like
that in
Richard.
Bristol. It didn't go very
That's
good.
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Richard didn't want to come off Darlington when he was driving around there, man.
You can tell he still got it.
He was still locked up, boy.
And they gave him the black flag.
I mean, give me a break. I mean, the guy's got 200 wins. What are they thinking?
I know.
Somebody thought it would be cute. Hey, give Richard the black flag, not realizing
He's going to ignore it like he did years ago and keep on getting it.
He don't care.
But I'm thinking it's not a Legends race, but knowing, you're not the only spotter up on the stand that has past racing experience. We should
Spotters race.
That's what I'm saying. You got
That'd be mismatched.
Fedua, is Tony Raines still up there?
Yeah, but Raines don't remember where he's at half the time. I'm just joking.
Philippe told a story about him on his episode when he was racing for the 96 DLP car.
Yeah.
Where he came in. He said he came into the shop all the time and hung out, and that was great. But came in and left his sunglasses on Philippe's desk, and he had a race hub interview or something that night. And Philippe was like, "Don't be late. Make sure you got that interview. Don't dilly dally too long." Okay. He said he went off, and Philippe took them sunglasses and took a black Sharpie and started coloring in the nose guard and stuff. And he said they went and watched it later on, and he had black. Nobody. They thought that he just didn't get enough sleep or something. Nobody told him, like, Tony, your eyes are black.
So talking about pranks, I remember one of the first things we said in the first podcast was like, hey, if you guys have any questions, hashtag RPM or ask RPM. And somebody said, what are some practical jokes that are played? So that's one of them. Any practical jokes you guys have ever played in the garage? Eric's smirking pretty hard.
No, just because I'm not much of a practical joker. I'll be honest, I'm not.
Nah, not really. I mean, there's a couple times, people do something stupid, put inside your helmet or something. But, I always got in my trucks years ago when I was starting to drive, I always have to look up because I never knew what picture was going to be in the top of the roof. And it varied from everything there was to be. And it was actually kind of comical after a while, but it was something you just had to look at.
Weren't you telling me you did? You pulled a little prank on Dale Inman on the spotter stand when it was his birthday?
Yeah, I did it to him. I think he got a little upset with me. We were at Watkins Glen. I think I wrote "Happy 100th Birthday, Dale Inman," and I think he said, "Man, you ain't right." And he come over and gave me that big old thump on the arm. And he goes, "You're too darn hard-headed. You won't even feel it. You crazy old." Or something. Inman, man, he just always likes to sit there and thump on you with that, hit you in the arm until you flinch. All these younger guys, they sit there and he thump them around and make all this happen, and everybody wind up like a little bit, and I just keep saying, "Are you going to hit me or what are you going to do?" He goes, "Man, you ain't getting it. You're too hard-headed." So, that one time I had to show him I had to rip an apple and chew in front of him. He goes, "I should be able to do that too, boy."
Yeah, you ever seen that? Somebody take an apple and just break it in two with their hands?
I can't do that. I know that.
So I had to switch healthcare providers recently.
Because of you broke an apple?
Yeah, Blue Cross Blue Shield saw him snap the apple in half, and that was the end of it.
Mr. Sullivan, we haven't seen this one yet.
So I was reading through it, and everything was normal, and then one of them said, unusually strong grip. And I was like, well, thank you.
Yeah.
That was in your portfolio?
It was in my health report that I have an unusually strong grip.
How exactly
was it your left hand or right?
Bradley, what's the next question?
You led yourself down that road, buddy.
Man, you set yourself up like a bowling pin.
Yeah, I did.
Which one of y'all is the better skeet shooter?
Oh, Carelli. I don't do it enough. I need to do it more. We actually haven't been in a few months now. We need to go back and, in the wintertime, it's a little chilly for me. Carelli's a little more hardcore.
Yeah.
I think he gets out there in the cold and keeps shooting.
I'm all into it.
Yeah.
I love it. I shoot as much as I can. I shoot multiple venues, that I get to go to. I've shot in a bunch of tournaments in the off season. I've just upgraded my shotgun.
You're competitive then.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, because either you hit it or you don't, and it's like playing golf with a damn clay in the air. You know, either you hit or you don't. So it doesn't lie, but I enjoy it.
It usually takes me about 6 or 7 stations to get going again, and then I'm back in. And by the time we end, I'm usually back on my game, and then I wait about 6 months and then come back, and it takes me another 6, 7 stations to get going. I like the rabbits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He can smoke rabbits, man. He can bust them up. I get aggravated with him. So anyway, but it's one of those deals. It's like, you know, you get into something and you're competitive. What you do, obviously, you know, you do that. You can do that by yourself. I can go out and shoot 100 rounds of sporting clays by myself. I don't need to have anybody with me or not do it. You know, it's a lot of fun participating with people and go and have a good time. You know, but it's something I got into years ago, and then I got out of it for a long time. Then I got back into it all the way in.
Yeah, so that leads me into my next question of, so like when you're not racing race cars, when you're not spotting, what do you guys like to do when you're not doing this stuff, media, all the stuff that comes with racing a race car? What do you guys like to do?
Well, my biggest thing is I'll go shoot sporting clays. I like to bowl. I got my 59 Ford truck that I'm going to start messing with a little bit right now. Kind of hang out. You know, obviously when racing's over, you kind of just unwind for a minute, because every weekend you're on the chip, you know, so you have to unplug yourself. You have to find something to be competitive with yourself. You know, for many years working around people, so when you're not around people and you end up in this different world that we're in right now, you try and take care of yourself and do what you need to do by yourself. So that's my main thing, bowling and shooting sporting clays.
Yeah, I mean, I get into a little bit of everything, I guess. I go shoot with Carelli. I've actually been really getting back into golf again, more. I was out of it a lot for the last few years, really hadn't done much of it, and been getting a lot into that again. I got a boat. I go out and do the wakeboarding out on the lake, just like being out on the water, really in general. Fumble around with cars here at the shop, and then I got some land at my house, so a lot of time spent just doing that. I like really just mowing the lawn. It takes me about 4 or 5 hours to mow my lawn, so honestly, that's a nice day for me. If I can wake up and spend about 5 hours mowing my lawn, I'll eat lunch and then do the other half, and then it's the end of the day. It's kind of relaxing.
Sounds like a great day.
Yeah.
I got a riding mower a year and a half ago or so now, and like life-changing. Yeah. Absolutely life-changing. Push mowing sucks, but I could ride that thing.
It'd take me a long time to push mow my lawn.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd be talking days.
Yeah, my wife says I'm just too anal because I got to cross-cut it, I got to edge it, I got to do everything. So it's like it's one of those deals. You get out there, and if you go back and look, it's not perfect. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
so.
I don't do that.
Yeah, we were talking last week about racers being perfectionists.
Yeah, and we were talking when we talked to Dale and asked him what he'd been up to. That's what he said. He said, I've been mowing my lawn so much 2, 3, 4 times a week that his wife is telling him, like, you don't need to. It's fine. You don't need to hit it today. And he's like, I got nothing else to do.
Somebody's sorry for the background noise, everybody. Somebody's
forklift or something.
Yeah, forklift or a RV or something.
That's probably that unusual strong grip grabbing something. Beep, 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 beep.
I'm not gonna live that one down.
No.
Hey, strong grip, get over here.
Yeah, well, strong grip here.
Man, I got so many nicknames. One of my nicknames at the shop is Skinny Jeans, even though I haven't worn jeans in probably 2 years.
What
the
are
other
those?
one is, these are khakis from Walmart. So,
But they're green.
Yeah, well,
Olive.
they still call me
color.
Skinny Jeans, and they call me Glamour Shots because of the cameras. So,
Yeah.
strong grip, add it to the list. We got Crayon over here.
It's better than skinny jeans. Have y'all ever bowled together?
Once.
Oh, yeah, once.
Oh, no,
Yeah?
twice.
Well,
No, we did a couple times.
a couple of times. We did actually when we had the marathon in Texas last year.
Oh,
when
yeah.
we were there for 85 days and went to Buc-ee's, wore it out, and then we tried to go bowling and sit there and go, oh, we're going to race. And they go, oh, go home. We're going to race. Go home. You know, so
Yeah,
we entertained ourselves.
William Byron was there. He wanted to go to that European trap house.
Yeah, I asked him about European trap house, and he thought Byron about flip Twinkies, man. He thought I was asking something off the charts.
I think he was thinking you were talking about an
Yeah,
establishment.
an establishment.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is
European trap house. It's a kind of skeet shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What it is. If you ever look it up, when you look at
So it's not what it sounds like.
No, it's not nothing what it sounds
Yeah.
like. It's something I've never done. And up at Liberty University, it's the only one around. They have it. So I mentioned to him, "Hey man, you want to go to European Trap House?" And you thought I'd ask for his firstborn. I mean, the kid flipped over center, drank a Blue Moon, and didn't know what to talk, and giggled the whole time. But actually, when you look at it, it's actual bunker that it's flush with the ground. Where we usually shoot trap is up off the ground. So when you have a European trap, it's inside, it's a bunker, and they come out level. So it's a whole different perspective of how you shoot it, and it's something Liberty had, and I found out. And I was just trying to get there, but unfortunately, we just went the wrong spot, and William locked up, and that was the end of it.
But yes, we have bowled together. Yeah. To answer your question.
Yeah,
Twice.
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 I brought that pro with me at Bristol.
A pro with him at Bristol.
Philip.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah,
Old
yeah.
lefty.
Oh, lefty. Makes it happen.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I just came from bowling, actually. First time I took some time off and bowled today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
I did all right. I actually messed up, missed a couple 10 pins. I missed a 10 pin in first game and the third game, but I ended up rolling a 668 in 3 series for 3 games. So a little over 220 something average today.
I'm a horrible bowler.
I love bowling. I actually took a bowling class in school. I went to NC State, and I got a fine degree.
At Virginia
But-
Tech, we actually did academics. So
Yeah, so
no
I-
bowling for me.
I did bowling. Some of my bogus classes were bowling, bees and beekeeping. I took that, but yeah. Anywho, so we had the guy backing up earlier. So I'm going to back up to the interview we were doing. And so, who have you guys learned from most in your career?
Wow, that's an open question. Learn what part of it? Well, what are you asking? Well, learned how to race, learned how to function, learned how to operate in life.
This is an opportunity for you to say thanks, Mom. No, no, but most in racing.
I think the biggest thing for me is a lot of self-taught. I mean, you get out there and you do it yourself. You look at the people that you raced at your local racetrack, where they are, and what they have done and what they have accomplished, and how you can achieve them and pass them and what they've done. So there was a lot of guys that I looked up that I thought were mentors when I did it. And I think one of the biggest thing is, as I mentioned, I have a 59 Ford truck. A guy named Johnny Pacello was a multiple, he must have been 10, 15-year champion years ago with multiple drivers. He taught me a lot about A, B, C, and D. So, like when you race your car on Monday, this is what you do the first time, take care of your motor, what you do on Tuesday so you're ready for the next thing. So he taught me more methodical, because there's a lot of people that used to just go home and put their stuff on the trailer and wash it and race it on Sunday and wonder why it still ran like ass, but it is what it is. But I'm self-motivated and I was self-taught, but I always learned from everybody around me. So I kind of sat back and was kind of quiet, seeing how somebody else achieved it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there was a handful of people for me. We didn't really know much about racing ourselves, my dad and I. The first guy, I guess, that I really worked with, his name was Rich Lucius, and a guy named Jim Smith, and they taught me a ton right off the bat about late model racing. Rich was a long-time crew chief. Jim was a long-time driver, and then mechanic and crew chief. So they taught me a bunch, and then the next year I'd worked with a guy, Johnny Van Dorn and Butch Van Dorn, and they taught me another heap of information. Johnny was a racer himself and still is up from Michigan. I worked with Scott Hance a little bit, who was a great racer from Ohio, or Angola, Indiana. So, I mean, it was a little bit from each, right? I never had one. I guess the most solid guy for the longest term that I ever learned a lot in racing from was Kyle Busch. Mm-hmm. I started racing for him when I was 16 in the truck series, and he really took me in and offered advice when I didn't even necessarily ask for it, mostly because I was just nervous to ask him for advice coming in, and he still took time out to make sure that I was comfortable with whatever was going on. So Kyle taught me a lot. And overall, whoever gave me if I had to give one guy that gave me the most information, it would have to be Kyle.
So I know it's well known your Snowball Derby win over Kyle really helped propel your career. It was a big moment. When you guys showed up down there in Florida to go run that race, were you looking at the win? Was that, were you thinking, yeah, we're capable of doing this, or was it a little bit of a surprise?
Yeah, I mean, there's there's a lot of story to that.
I mean, you're always looking to win, right?
But yeah, I mean, to answer your question.
You don't go to lose.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. To answer your question, yeah. I mean, we went down there with the thought that we were going to win. Mm-hmm. We had just come off of running the Winchester 400 and honestly had a really good shot to win that, and had gotten wrecked with about 20 or 30 to go, and we'd led majority of the laps. So going down there, we really thought we were capable of winning that one, even though it was our family car. It was kind of more of a David versus Goliath deal, right? It didn't really realize it at the time, but once I got into KBM after that and started working with them and seeing what they had for equipment, it I guess brought things into perspective better.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think he said that he wore his right front out trying to keep up with you.
That's probably because I was pinching him so hard on the bottom, I would say. But yeah, I mean, Kyle and I had actually raced a few times together in late models, and I had actually ended up testing his car probably 2 months before that in Nashville, kind of by a happenstance thing. A guy named Brandon Lyons got me in the car. Actually, so now people know the name Chris Gabehart is Denny's crew chief. Chris Gabehart was the late model crew chief then for Kyle.
Okay.
So Chris and Brandon were very close growing up, and Brandon got me in Kyle's late model in Nashville. Kyle was flying back and forth to Talladega, and I was 16. Brandon lied for me and told me told Chris that I'd ran like 20 or 30 super late model races. I think I'd ran 3. And
just off by a digit.
Yeah,
no
so
big deal.
There was like 3 other people in front of me that were supposed to drive, and they all bailed. So then I was in it, and that got me the opportunity to meet Kyle, which I think was also a big part of before that even beating him. I think that was part of it too. So,
well, everyone, I think we've hit a good spot to kind of wrap up here and finish up the episode. First off, thank you both for taking the time out of your day to come and hang out with us and tell racing stories and, shoot the bull and whatnot. We really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. It's great to have, obviously, Erik, you driving and Rick spotting for us this year. I know we're only a race in the Clash in, but I know everybody on the team's super pumped up. We're really looking forward to the season, ready to get to the road course again this weekend. So any last thoughts before we sign off here?
I guess, when we get down to Daytona, let's run all the laps, run up front. And, I think we got to start in the back a little bit, I think, from our engine change that we had, from what I'm understanding. But we can get enough strategy, get enough pit crew, get the people to the front. Anything can happen. Obviously, we've seen that. We're going to stay inside the chicanes all the time when we're running their yellows, make sure we don't get out of them so we don't have to get to the back, and have a great night.
sounds good to me.
I like that plan.
I like it. I love it.
Thanks again. This was great. We really appreciate it. And, let's go get them on Sunday.